Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to the continuation of our multiplayer first-person shooter tutorial, where we are duplicating the Unreal Tournament Facing Worlds kind of map. And we've got our initial model in there. We've got lots of detail work that we still have to do. But right now we're getting stumped by the material question. What is going on? Why does this not look right? It's just sort of smeared and weird. So we're running into the biggest issue that, frankly, a lot of beginning programmers and modelers run into, in that UV textures are weird. So the best example I can come up with is your textures. These are like image files, right? They're just JPEGs or PNGs or bitmaps or whatever. And image files are flat. It's like a piece of wrapping paper. It is a square of wrapping paper. And you're trying to wrap this really bizarre, uneven object. How do we get wrapping paper to go around this? How do we tell the computer how to wrap this in your texture? That's what UV mapping is. It's those descriptions. Now, this is a big topic, and especially when it comes to really complex type of objects, it's very, very rough. We're going to do a very simple version of it here. I'm going to take my plane here. There's a little thingy you can click in the top right corner. I'm going to split my view, like so. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to switch to the UV image editor using this little pull-down menu right here. So I'm going to take this object, and you know what I'm actually going to do? Yeah, no, it's fine. We're going to keep going like this. There might be a bit of a seam in the middle, and seams are unseemly, but honestly, if we look at the original, there's a lot of like stuff, and you can actually see repeating textures and all kinds of things, and there's room for polish later on. We're not going to freak out about that now. Most important thing, just get things working, polish later on. So what we want to do is, we want to, this is sort of our wrapping paper, and these are our models, and we want to have this mapped from one to the other. The quickest way of doing it is in edit mode, select everything, right? Make sure you have everything selected, then hit U. And you're going to get this UV mapping pop up. There's a lot of different options. The cheapest, simplest way is to use Smart UV Project. And you're going to see what happens. It's going to take our stuff, and if I go into my face selection and I just grab one face, you can see the face right here. This is that triangle, and if I go and select everything, you can see, oh, all right, now I can see what's going on. This pit here is clearly the top. This is my ground. Okay, so now if I have an image here, whatever's in this part of the image, that's what's going to be smeared onto this landscape right over here. All right, I can dig it. And then you can sort of start to figure out, okay, so this is some of the edge, right? That's the edge, okay. And this fan here, that's probably this bit that dangles down below here, and these sorts of things. And you can click and then see exactly where everything is mapping from there. Oh, actually I was wrong. Some of this is here. And this will vaguely sort of work, except for this part that's sticking out, which is no good. So what we want to do, if we have our mouse on the left-hand side and we hit A, it's selecting things on the left. If we have our mouse on the right-hand side and we hit A, it selects things over here. What we want to do is, we want to, from the UV menu, we want to say, I think, pack islands. No, I'm wrong. Huh. Oh, I have to select and then pack islands. There we go. That will ensure that everything fits on your plane as effectively as possible, because you can't have things sticking out, or weird, bizarre things will happen. Now, if I save this, still not going to be ideal, but if I save this and pop back into Unity, why is it not doing the thing that I expected it to do? Oh, could not convert. Why is that? Try it again. Save. There we go. Okay, I got an error in my console that it couldn't do the conversion, and I think I may have tabbed over to Unity too fast or something else. Now, all of a sudden, our little electric texture is very clearly working out very well on the top. It might be a little weird if we look on the bottom here. There might be some weird seams and edges, like here, quite clearly. It's not continuing the image correctly. And if we switch over to a model, there's a good chance that if I click on this triangle here, right, and then I click on this triangle here, you can see they're not connected. This triangle is at this part of the image, this triangle is at this part of the image, even though they should share this, which means their image is not going to map seamlessly from one to the other. Okay, and the way we fix it is by not using the automatic UV unwrapper tool. In fact, what we're going to want to do is manually set a seam. But, I mean, it's better. Now, we don't want to use the, come on, focus properly, there we go. We don't want to use this electric substance. We want to use, what are we going to do? We're going to say the stone, right? So let's grab one of these stone ones and drag it on there. All right, that's better. All right, I'm like sort of digging it, you know. Ooh, this one's got even more. I think what we need to do is make it tile. Maybe do like 10 by 10. Oops, we don't edit it here. My bad. We edit it in here. We want 10 by 10. Oh, because I was editing the wrong one. All right, that's, you know, it's maybe a little too intense. What if we did switch back to this rock one? It's maybe a little better. All right. Even then, it's still a little like intense. 100 by 100. Well, now, frankly, we're looking a little bit more like the actual facing worlds, but not quite. I think the original facing world is maybe more like a 50 by 50, 25 by 25. All right. I mean, it's obviously repeating, and I think the stone stuff is actually a little bit intense. Do we have something a little bit more subtle? In these like built-in things, we've got pavement. Oh, we might just want to use something like that. Let's experiment here. And then 25 by 25. Ugh, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. These are just the built-in things. The metal plates actually work surprisingly well a lot of the time. I mean, now it's like not so much an asteroid, as it is some sort of like weird floating construct. But I actually am a big fan of this this pattern. And you know what? It won't be annoying in game. When we're in there, it'll look halfway reasonable. All right, so we're gonna have a big metal thingy, and that's fine. We still have the problem where it's not kind of lining up properly on the bottom. And I will demonstrate sort of another way of unwrapping this, which is probably a better way, especially when you get to actual characters. What you want to do is, let me just grab this and shove it over like this for now. We're going to go into edge selection mode, and I'm going to select, I'm going to hold Alt, and click there. It's going to select a bunch of the loop, and then I'm going to hold Alt and Shift, and I'm just going to keep adding like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit E. Control-E? Oh, E is extrude. Hold on, I'm doing that wrong. What do I... Where's the mark seam hotkey? I thought it was... I don't know. Anyway, we can just hit space and then type in seam. Mark seam. So now if I unselect, it's still got this red highlight. And what I'm doing is I'm defining like good and safe places perhaps to put cuts in the texture. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Mark another seam. And then... Oh, we need... probably on the inside here too, actually. Mark seam, and we'll do the bottom. This might not be the actual way we want to cut things, but that's the way I'm doing it for now. Okay, good. So I've got that, and then instead of using, so I'm going to select all, I'm going to hit U. Instead of using Smart UV Project, which it just tries to guess, I'm going to use the actual unwrap thing. And what this will do is unwrap things based on my seams. Now we can see it quite clearly. Okay, everything on the top, which is, if I grab the face select, okay, so this object here, this one is my top. This one here is obviously my bottom, and this is all the stuff on the edge, which is pretty good. In fact, what I can do is if I hit L while hovering over something, move the top over here. I'm going to scale it up so you can get like better details. And the same thing for the bottom. I'm going to scale this up a little more, a little more. There. Scale it down. Good enough. So now if we save this, because of the texture we have, it's going to look pretty samey. But let's say I switch back to my stone here. Now, if we look at the bottom, it should actually... I mean, there's still some sharp cuts just on the basis of... Well, actually, that's still not perfect there, is it? Why is that? They should be adjacent to one another. Yeah, they are. Might just be an angle thing going on. I'm not going to stress about it. We're going to move on really now. Actually, we're going to move on now. I wonder if we do want to keep the stone, though. I know, I keep flipping back and forth on this, but it's just a little too intense. We can make this less intense, right? We can drop the rock amount down, but that's not what we want to do. We just want more rock, but let's make it darker. And then drop down the detail, up the detail. That's not really a thing. The edges, no. Rock size. Oh, depth maybe. No, that's mostly going to be UV mapping. Or normal mapping. There we go. Take down the emboss a little. Just make it a little bit flatter. Alright, I'm going to be fine with that. We're going to stop meddling. Alright, save that. We've got to do we're going to do a quick and dirty UV map on this structure as well. In fact, I will definitely use the Smart UV Project on this one. Boom. Which is going to be relatively reasonable, actually. Go back over here, and we will apply, I want bricks. This one? No. Probably this one. Yes. Although, two things. For the bricks, the orientation of the design matters a little bit more. And in fact, you know what? We do need a little bit of love in here. I could take all this and just rotate it by 90 degrees. And then pack the islands again. Oh. That's annoying. Scale it down a little just to make sure it fits. Okay. Save this. Now the bricks are going to be the right way around. Yes. Nope. Didn't convert the blend. Try it again. There we go. So now the bricks are the right way around, and if we take this and just tile it up. That's too much. 15 by 15. There we go. So now it's kind of a brick structure. And frankly, metal would probably work better. Also, I'm not convinced that I want the inside to be the same texture. And because it's the same mesh, I can't really split one or the other. Yeah, you can do a thing with material IDs in here, and we're not going to bother with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rooms here, and I'm actually going to split them off into a separate object altogether. At least, you know what? At least the floors. That's what I'm going to do. Stop it. Grab, grab, grab. I'm going to hit P, and it's going to separate out this floor to a separate object. There we go. Good. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to go back and edit it, and I'm going to separate out the floor, and that's good enough. Now I can save this, pop out here. So now my floors are different objects, and I'm going to grab my metal floor texture and drop that on the floors here and here. There we go. That makes me happy. In fact, I might want a floor here as opposed to continuing the stone's texture. We're going to leave it be. All right, so we've got some very, very rough outlines, but you know what? This looks like an early 90s video game at this point, and that's exactly what I'm aiming for. So, good enough. All right, now we've got that. Let's go ahead and see what it feels like running around the world. So I'm going to go into my standard assets folder. I'm going to grab in the character controller a first-person controller, and I'm just going to drop it in the game world right there. And so if we look at the game, where's the camera? Actually, we should delete the old main camera. And our first-person controller is sticking in the world in an inappropriate fashion. I don't know why it didn't set itself up in the right place. I'm going to drop it right over here. There we go. Okay, and let's hit play. Yeah, I know I haven't run the photon setup wizard. That's okay. Why are we falling through the world? This is the number one biggest question I get no matter how many times I address the problem. I guess maybe I'll have to do that photon setup. Why are we falling through the world? Well, two reasons. One, there's no collision data on this model that I imported. And that's actually the biggest thing. So what we want to do is we're going to find our model. This is the model here. And if we go into the model import information, there's a checkbox here to generate colliders. So we're going to do that. So now there's going to be actual physics data on our object. Now if I hit play, let's find out what happens. There, now I no longer fall in the world. I can actually walk around in first person mode with the basic controller. Oh, this is looking vaguely right, actually. I like it. I think our movement speed is a little low. I like that. Yeah, we'll definitely want a little bit more movement speed. And let's see, can we leap across this chasm now? Ah, we can, good. And if we throw ourselves off, we will fall. So that's part of the equation. Now, one of the other things that might happen, do we have a game object that's got a mesh? No. One of the things that will still happen there still may be some objects that fall through the ground here, and you won't know why. If I brought in another just random model in here, it might just fall through the world. And the reason is that this ground here, for example, has a mesh collider. This is what generates the physics data. It's this mesh collider. Two mesh colliders will not collide with one another. So if you create like a barrel, let's say you create a barrel and it's physics enabled and you just drop it into the world, it will fall right through the floor. And the reason is because both things will have a mesh collider and they can't intersect. They won't collide. The only way you can have them collide is if one of them is set to convex. Now that won't be appropriate for the ground. If we set it to that, you can see all of a sudden the geometry, the collision mesh is really weird. And the reason is it fills in all the gaps and all the holes, and it makes your object completely solid, right? So anywhere that you might have a hole, it just fills it in. And it can work for simplified geometry. And for a barrel, first of all, your barrel is actually convex, so it doesn't have any hollow spots. But let's say you made a giant bowl or a teacup or something like that. For the collision purposes, even though it's actually a concave object, it's got hollowness to it. For collision purposes, you could make it convex, and that will make things very happy. If that does not work out for you, then you have to use all sorts of like composite colliders, and it just becomes complicated, and we don't want to deal with that. So I have my dude. Let's actually go right ahead and increase his movement speed, which is under the character mode over here. We're gonna make it go, let's try 10, 10, 10 and see what happens. See how we feel about that. There we go. I think I like that better. All right. Again, we're using the built-in character controller stuff to make life easier. Yeah, I like the speed. It feels halfway decent. Shadow distance might have to be changed. Again, I've got the default rendering settings here. If I go into project settings, quality, and I click on Fantastic. Now my editor is running in Fantastic graphic mode, and you can see actually as I click, things change. If I go to fastest, it will actually disable quite a lot of things. No shadows at all, for example. But if you go into Fantastic, and yeah, we'll get rid of that warning soon enough. That's just the photon cloud whining that things haven't been set up. Now we should have much better shadow fidelity. And yeah, all right, I'm digging this. The graphics on in the recording might be slightly choppy because by default this actually has VSync on, and sometimes VSync in recordings look a little weird. So I'm actually going to disable the VSync. That's the vertical synchronization to make sure that it syncs with the speed of your monitor. And by doing that, see, hold on. Let me put the normal VSync on. All right, we've got stats, and I'm going to play, and you're going to see what the deal is. My frame rate is it's roughly going to be 60 or 70 FPS on my screen because that's the refresh rate of my monitor. Yours might be the same. It will vary a little bit, right? Because it's not refreshing any faster than a single iteration of what your screen can do. But if you turn that off, then it will actually refresh the graphics as fast as possible, which may actually be faster than your monitor can do, which means you actually won't be able to get the benefits of the faster FPS, although there's a few things here and there. But you can tell this simple game on my computer is running at over 2,000 frames per second, which actually, if I keep running this, at some point my my graphics card will actually, I'll hear it spin up and like start to heat up, because you know I'm working my graphic card to the absolute maximum, not for any purpose or any point. I'm not gaining anything by this. But it's interesting to see, and it's actually a nice little benchmark of your game. These substances do have a fairly decent normal mapping by default. They're pretty cool. I'm digging this. Hell, we actually have a much stronger graphic engine here than was available in the first Unreal Tournament. So I'm feeling the movement. I like this, and I think this is. The shadows are a little weird on this side, though. They look great on one side, but on the other side they're a little not right. The thing is, we can add some static lighting in here and do some light mapping, which would actually make everything look way, way better. Because one of the things we have to keep in mind, for example, is our lights are never going to move. Our world's not moving, our lights are never going to move. So let's go ahead and do that in this video. Our level here, we can set our level to be static, and it's children. We're telling Unity this object will never move. We're going to do the same thing for our directional light. And you know what? We'll go ahead and we'll set up some lights inside of our room here. That might be torches later on, for example. Especially this one. It's like awfully dark. So let's go ahead and create another. We're going to create a point light. Okay. Now, this will not generate real-time shadows in the free version of Unity. Let's bring this up to 0 at least, so it's in vaguely the right position. It will not generate real-time shadows. However, we can, there you go, I like isometric, we can get it to produce pre-rendered shadows just fine. Let's bring it up. Should they be ceiling lights? Maybe it should be ceiling lights. So we want it to be just below the actual ceiling, which actually seems to be about where it is. Ideally, you should have an actual model, you know, some ceiling light model, and you put a light inside it. But for our purposes, this will be fine. So I'm just duplicating it, and then I'm going to bring it up here to this level. Let's go to the front view just to get the height right. And there we go. That's not, oh, there is another one I forgot. Duplicate it, bring it up to there. Good stuff. And then I'm going to take these point lights. I'm going to duplicate the whole thing, bring them over on this side, and let's go and go to wireframe mode so we can see inside the buildings. We're going to put them in roughly the same-ish places, which actually means at the bottom we've got to move them a little bit more because there was one closer to the opening and one a little further inside. Great. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create an empty game object. I'm going to set it to 0, 0, 0. Things keep tabbing out on me. Oh, it's because I have this window here for the Photon Unity networking that keeps bugging me about setting things up. We definitely have to take care of that shortly. So I'm creating a default, an empty game object. I'm going to call this, I'm going to underscore, call it static objects. Okay? So then I'm going to take all my lights and the level, I'm going to stick it all inside static objects, and then I'm going to take this whole thing and flag it as static, yes, including children. So now I've told the game that everything inside of this is static, and then I can collapse it and keep my project nice and organized. It's wonderful. It's great. Now, the cool thing that you can do with static lighting and models is do light mapping. So we're going to go to Window. We're going to open the light mapping window, and I'm just going to dock it over here. And so now, let me grab all my lights. All these lights here in Inspector for shadows. We do want shadows, right? We want, you know, let's say hard shadows is fine, but they won't generate any real-time shadows for me because I am not in Unity Pro and all kinds of things. That's okay. That's okay. We can go into light mapping. Actually, the other thing in render mode, no, in light mapping. So these point lights, we can even tell them that they're going to be baked only, but it's not going to matter. Pretend I'm not saying that. Okay, we've got all our stuff set up. We've got shadows set up. We can go to the bake screen, and sometimes this can cause my audio to go a little bit wonky in the recording, so we'll see how it goes. Click bake scene, and oh right, this won't quite work. Hold on, cancel. The reason is my level model, when I import it, we have to say generate light map UVs. There we go. I have to apply that. Now I'm going to go back to light mapping. I will bake the scene, and this will take a minute to run. This luckily is not a very complex scene. But there's a half dozen lights in here, and so there's a tiny bit of time that will be used, but our models are very simple, so this should work relatively quickly. And this, all of a sudden, our level would start to look so much cooler, because now there's slightly more interesting shadows and things going on here. Obviously, our main light source is still a very strong light source. Maybe we want to take our point lights and make them stronger, because that shadow is a little harsh. What do we want to do? Let's take our point lights. Let's make their range a little bit bigger, and the intensity will leave the same. The fact that they have a bigger range means, in a sense, their intensity will be stronger anyway. I'm going to bake this again. So just watching the progress down below here. And the advantage of the baked light sources is these lights are not rendered in real time. They basically get rendered out to a texture that gets applied to an object ahead of time, and it saves tons of processing. They're super fast, and they can look really good, and they can cast some extra shadows, which is not really applying here, but in my previous 3D tutorial, we showed off exactly how good the light mapping can do. The big thing with this is just I wanted some lights in here to illuminate the little tunnels, and that's good. Now, it's worth noting that in Unity, the light map stuff, oh, we got a little bit of momentum. We don't sort of stop on a dime. Oh, that's mostly an input thing. I'll deal with that in a second. static lights that are light mapped do not light, they don't cast shadows on moving objects, but they also don't light moving objects. But you can use something called light probes to interact with your light map. However, that's not available in Unity free, so we will not be using that. But I just want to drop a basic little note just to mention it. So there you go, you can see the shadow, but we can still see inside. So obviously this is not really the way that our lighting we may or may not want. We probably want some other solution. I'm thinking that the directional light, we actually want to dim it so it's less important, and then we want to have just more lights sort of outside. We want like torches on the outside of the building or something illuminating it. But for now, it's going to do just fine. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that my inputs are feeling okay, because I feel like I misclicked and I lost that. I want to expand my axes. I feel like my horizontal and vertical movement, yeah, the gravity is not enough. What's happening, the gravity is basically your arrow keys by default they're emulating a joystick almost. So when I go forward and then I let go, my guy moves for a little while, and it's especially prevalent when I try to hit backwards. It takes a while to sort of bring the momentum the other way around. And if you're playing the game on your end, you'll feel that at this point. And the reason is this is how long it takes for the stick to go back to the middle. And generally speaking, I want this to be super responsive. And you'll see the default on the jump, it has a gravity of 1,000. That's going to be like as good as instantaneous. And now if I hit play again, and I let go, I should come to a halt right away. No, I really do have some momentum. I guess it's a character creation, or character controller thing. I still want the gravity to be really high, but we're going to have to tweak some settings in the character controller. Oh, we increased our maximum speeds, but we didn't change our acceleration. And what we want is, we want to accelerate faster and more instantaneously. And the default settings might have been fine for the slower speeds, but now that we've got the higher max speed, there we go. Now it's like super responsive. There's still a little bit of time as you build up a little speed, but that's okay. We might want to set our acceleration to something ridiculous, depending on exactly how responsive we want our character to feel. So if I do that, let's find out if that cuts it. Yeah. In fact, the character like literally stops the second I let go. It feels too sharp. I actually like just a little bit of momentum-y kind of thing. So I'm gonna set it back to 50. I think it was feeling okay. Yeah, it feels just right enough. It's like my character takes an extra little half step as I stop, and it gives it that feel of sort of physicality and momentum. Some people don't like the idea that you can control your character in the air, and it really depends on the game. How much air control you want, how much air momentum you want. Unreal Tournament has always been relatively kind of arcadey. Same thing as like kind of Quake. There's a decent amount of air control because it was never intended to be a super realistic game. So you've got those extra sort of like controls there, but you can tweak it with air acceleration. And again, this is the built-in included character motor and character control kind of scripts. You can even write your own, and that's fine. We're just using this to save ourselves a little bit of time. All right, so we have a level. So that's it for this video. Next time we'll add a little bit more functionality. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.